Uber drivers in the UK are now classified as workers. They're not considered independent contractors anymore, even according to Uber. What does this mean? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about right now. Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the RideShare Guy. Today we're going to be talking about some breaking news that's coming out of the UK, where Uber decided to reclassify its driving force into workers because of a long ongoing dispute and court battle that said drivers are not independent contractors, but really are workers. So we're going to be talking about what the changes are, what it means for drivers in the UK, and is this something that we could see here in the US? So let's get right into it. Now, we all know that there's been an ongoing debate whether drivers are truly independent contractors or are they employees. We've seen this in different laws that have tried going on the books, like AB5 trying to codify whether a potential person is an employee or an independent contractor. We've seen this in several different court cases across the world when it comes to how Uber drivers are truly independent contractors or are they not. And this court case is no different when it comes to the UK. Now, in 2016, there were drivers that thought different than being an independent contractor, and so they took their case to court. And just about a month or so ago, the Supreme Court decision from the UK came out and said that drivers are not independent contractors, but yet they are workers. So this is a little bit different because an employee and a worker are two separate terms. So an employee gets full employee benefits while a worker gets some benefits. So this is the big distinction first off right here. Now, being a worker does guarantee you certain benefits like minimum wage and holiday pay, as well as a couple of other things. So I'm going to talk about exactly what protections drivers are going to be getting when it comes to being a worker in the UK. And that is going to be, it's going to pay at least the national living wage, which is very similar to the minimum wage here in the US. And it's going to be after accepting a trip request and after expenses. So it's very eerily similar to the same framework of Prop 22. So they're only trying to pay drivers period 2 and 3. And what that is the different periods of when there's somebody in your car, when you're on a ride, or if you're online waiting. So period 1, you're not getting paid for. That's when you're online waiting for a ride to come in, but you don't have a ride, you're not en route to a ride, and you don't have somebody in your car. That's period 1. And unfortunately, that can account for up to 40% of a driver's time that they're not going to get paid for, even classified as a worker. Then period 2 is once you get a trip request come in and you hit accept, then you're considered en route to the passenger. So that means that is period 2 for that time. Then period 3 begins once you start the trip and the passenger is in your car and you're going from pickup to drop off. Then once you drop that passenger off, if there's no ride that's been stacked up, you're back to period 1 and not getting paid for it. So again, you're only getting paid for period 2 and 3. And this is the same thing that's happening in California under Prop 22, where once you hit accept on a trip, that's considered engaged time. And that's when that 120% of the minimum wage earning floor actually starts. So again, it's not during that period 1 where a driver could be waiting up to 40% of their time and not getting compensated for it. And then going on to some of the other benefits that UK drivers are now going to have is holiday time pay. And this is going to be based on a calculation of 12.07% of their earnings. And it says paid out on a fortnightly basis. Not quite sure exactly what that means. Difference of language there. But either way, it's going to be based on a percentage of the earnings, which is 12.07%. And again, this is semi-similar to how Prop 22 is set up again. So the framework here is very similar, as you can see. And then it goes on and it says drivers will automatically be enrolled into a pension plan with contributions from Uber alongside driver contributions, setting drivers up over long term. That is something that is completely unique and different compared to, again, Prop 22. These are very similar in terms of framework. Other than that, some of the details are much different. But again, you can see how this is actually setting up to be probably in Uber's favor still, and maybe curtail what the court decision was. But either way, it goes on and it says it will continue free insurance in case of sickness or injury, as well as parental payments, which have been in place for all drivers since 2018. So that is nothing new. That has been something that was dealt with in 2018 and still will continue on today in the UK. And all drivers will retain the freedom to choose if, when, and where they drive. So again, that's not going to change. It does sound very similar to the framework and structure of Prop 22 and how that's set up. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about these different benefits? Comment below and let us know. So what was Uber's comment on this? Uber's CEO said in a statement, "A worker is not a classification that is unique under UK employment law. Workers are not employees, but are entitled to certain social protections. Our decision means that Uber drivers will receive holiday pay and will be guaranteed at least the national living wage as a floor, not a ceiling, meaning they will be able to earn more as they do today. And eligible drivers who want a pension will receive one." Now, one of the big discrepancies when it comes to how Uber is handling this is that whole period 1, period 2, and period 3 thing that we had just talked about when it comes to the pay. And many drivers are not happy with that because they want to get paid for period 1 when they're online and waiting for a ride. So there could still be some ongoing court cases to try to settle all this out. But as it stands right now, those are going to be some of the protections that Uber drivers in the UK will be getting. Now, there's one last thing to bring up, and this is a big question that people have been asking because of this whole thing, and that is, will this come to the US? My answer to this is yes and no. We're going to do no first because, first off, worker classification is unique to the UK only. It's not in the US. You only have employee and independent contractor. You don't have that worker classification. Now, the reason why I say yes is it's already here. The framework is very, very similar to Prop 22. The only difference is there's a couple of the details that are going to be a little bit different. So it's already kind of here. You could consider California drivers as workers. It's just that they're classified under Prop 22. So they're guaranteed certain benefits like the minimum floor earnings, which is 120% minimum wage plus 30 cents per mile. And they're also looking at a healthcare stipend and a couple other things that we've talked about. But it's different because they're not getting holiday pay. They're not getting other benefits that the worker classification that is only in the UK offers. This is just another side when it comes to the debate of if drivers are independent contractors or are they employees, or in the UK's case, because of that third classification called worker, or if they're considered workers. So states are going to be looking at legislation, whether to codify drivers as employees or independent contractors, whether it's an AB5-like legislation, whether it's a Prop 22-like legislation, or they might be looking at something nationally like the PRO Act. So there is a lot of debate and it will continue on for several years. And don't forget to share your thoughts on this entire thing down in the comments below. And if you made it to the end of this video, please give this video a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications if you haven't already, because there's new videos coming out each and every single week when it comes to what's going on in the rideshare world, what's going on with the news, and different strategies on how you can make more money being a rideshare driver. All right, everyone, drive safe.